Welcome back with our main topic today. Well, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi recently said that Egypt aims to join the ranks of developed states in the production of electric power and renewable energy, as well as the electricity linkage projects with neighboring countries. Well, to shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host this morning in the breakfast show our dear guest, Dr. Magid Karam Mahmoud, Technical Director for Regional Center for Renewable Energy. Good morning, Dr. Karam.
Good morning.
Well, Dr. Karam, could you give us first an idea about the types of renewable energy that Egypt depends on for the production of energy?
Well, Egypt depends on, in fact, three major types of renewable technologies. The first is hydro, which is well known for all of us through the high dam and the other power stations depending on the hydropower. And the second is wind energy, where Egypt hosts some of the largest wind farms. We call these wind farms, wind power plants are called wind farms or wind parks. Yes. So Egypt hosts also some of the largest clusters of wind farms worldwide on the Gulf of Suez area, near Hurghada and on the top near Suez. And also the third and most important right now is solar energy. And solar energy is used through two main methods. The first is thermal energy, where we have Kuraimat integrated solar power plant, which is similar to any thermal power plant. And yes, the other way, which was inaugurated just last week by His Excellency President Sisi, it depends on what we call photovoltaic effect. When we transfer the solar energy directly into electricity in what we call solar panel or solar modules. Yes. And these are the main types. Also, there is another type which is starting to get some momentum in Egypt, which is waste to energy, and using the wastes to produce energy. And we have some projects on that, but not to the scale of wind or solar or hydro.
Yes. So, Doctor, what are the cheapest or what is the cheapest kind of energy in Egypt?
Well, speaking on how renewable is competitive with,
yes,
this is a question, yes, as I understand it.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yes. Solar and wind technologies are already competitive with conventionals.
Yes.
When we compare renewable electricity produced from solar and wind, they are even now cheaper than, for example, from gas or oil.
Yes, yes.
And the prices now, to get an indication, is around 2 to 3 cents per kilowatt hour of electricity produced through what we call tendering mechanism. That we have a bidding scheme that allows the private sector to compete to provide the best quality of electricity together with the lowest price of electricity. And here Egypt is among the most competitive countries in the world in this regard because of several things that happened over the past 5 to 7 years.
Yes, yes.
And part of this, for example, that the political commitment, the political willingness that we go into this direction. And we are somehow translating the talk into work, as we say in English. And simply, Egypt started in 2015, as just after June Revolution, started by putting the legal framework. Yes. And for the first time, you'll find a constitution of Egypt, including an article that says that renewable energy is a significant part of the electricity mix in Egypt. Yes. So this is one thing. So even the constitution, the highest level of legal documents in the country, is mandating that. And then we had what we call renewable energy law and electricity law. And why laws? Because if you are an investor, you would like to make sure that you have low risks when you are investing in any country. And yes, through this law, we have set the framework. Egypt set the framework that there is a possibility for private investors to come to Egypt to sell their electricity in different mechanisms, and they are secured to be paid back by the utility. Yes. The Egyptian electricity transmission company or the distribution companies. And also they are allowed to sell electricity to other consumers, so there is a direct relation. This was not allowed before. So this is a second step. The third step is to have what we call the enabling ecosystem, the enabling frameworks, which means that you would like to see as a bank that would give the investor money to invest in this project, you would like to see a set of bankable documents. What are the set of bankable documents? You have robust technical assessment of the site, because this is a natural resource. So you would like to make sure that there is wind when you are saying there's wind, the solar energy is sufficient to produce and so on. And then, so good resource assessment, we call it this way. And then beside the resources assessment, you would like to see that there are contracts that are solid from the legal perspective. And these are called, the most important is called power purchase agreement. And then if you have this similar to the international system that all international financing institutions recognize that these are good contractual documents, then you go for a third step, which is so the guarantees that I would get the money from the off-taker, the buyer of the electricity. And here we have a good track record through private sector engagement in the energy sector, whether in electricity or in oil. So there is some sort of confidence. Having all these elements together, all these elements translates into when we announced for the first what we call feed-in tariff mechanism tender, a big tender for investors to apply and getting a surplus price for renewable electricity.
Yes.
Egypt attracted hundreds of investors, and this resulted in 32 investors. I will not say not only investors, in fact consortiums, group of investors coming to Egypt. And investing, you can imagine how much? 2 billion US dollars. 2 billion in the Benban solar project that was inaugurated last week.
Yes.
So in fact, renewable electricity is now among the cheapest technologies worldwide. Egypt is leading Arab and African countries, together with Morocco, together with Emirates, Saudi Arabia, and South Africa. But we are pioneer as a hub, that we have the interconnections with neighboring countries, we have the excellent resources, and we have also a grid that can accommodate the variability of renewable energy.
Yes. So, Dr. Karam, since President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came to office, he gave very good care for the field of energy and electric power in Egypt, and also renewable energy. So, and also gave his directives to provide the suitable budget for the projects. And we can mention one of the projects, which is Benban solar power plant in Aswan. The Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, Engineer Mohammed Shakir, said that the Benban solar power plant energy will reach 1,465 megawatts, indicating that the station is equipped to increase its production further to reach 1,965 megawatts.
Yes.
Could you explain to us this idea?
The solar technologies in general,
Yes,
in fact, are characterized by the need of vast land areas. And resorting to advanced technologies would allow you to work with the same area, but with higher productivity of the solar panels.
yeah.
And in fact, in Benban, we have, as Egyptians, we should be proud of what happened there.
Yes, of course.
Because it is, in fact, one of the largest fields worldwide when you have 32 projects adjacent to each other. And these projects, in fact, are feeding green electricity to the grid. And this green electricity, somehow, you can compare this to the neighboring high dam. So right now, you have around 1,000, approximately 500 megawatts. We say 465, let's say 1,500 megawatts. So
Yes.
this is around 3/4 of the high dam. But instead of using water through pumps, we are using modules, panels, cells, a larger scale than the one we are seeing in all our calculators, for example.
Yes.
But they are large. And we have in Bemban what we call a tracking system that allows us to somehow follow the sun. And this increases the productivity of the solar system.
Yes.
And the area that we are using right now in Egypt, in this Bemban, in this Bemban area, we can say that this area is suitable very much for producing if you compare, for example, two countries in the neighborhood in the northern shore of the Mediterranean, you are able to provide around 30% more electricity from Bemban and in fact the region of Aswan and Upper Egypt compared to other areas worldwide. So you have the preference of good resources, advanced technology used there, and then you have also the capacity of the electricity network.
Yes.
And this was upgraded, and the inauguration last week of the transformer stations, the transmission connection. When you produce electricity, you need to transfer this into the cables that we are using of us. And this is done through what we call transmission system. And this includes transformers and cables and other control devices. So what happened now, we have expanded as Egypt, Egypt expanded the capacity of the grid to accommodate for renewable electricity.
Yes.
So all this together mean that the site itself is now capable of being expanded to not only 1,465 megawatts, but up to 2,000, almost 2,000 megawatts. And this means that you can have higher share of solar electricity there. And in fact, it is not the only site that we have such excellent conditions for having a power plant, but also there is Komombo, which is under construction right now, another very important project that is a solar PV based project. And there are other wind projects that are on the Gulf of Suez area. And for the wind energy also, you asked about the prices, and
Yes.
we have areas among the best windy areas worldwide. And when we say windy, it is not storms. No, this is a good wind, stable wind all over the year that would allow you to produce electricity in significant values and then feed this electricity into the grid of Egypt, the unified grid. I hope I have answered your questions.
Yes. So, Dr. Karam, also, to what could you talk to us about the extent of Egypt's interest in increasing renewable energy production by more than 42% by
Yes.
the year 2023?
Yes.
35, I mean.
2035. Yes, true. This is one of...
Why 2035? We always say Egypt's plan for 2030. So
Okay.
concerning the energy, we say the year 2035. That's what the minister have said.
Yes. In fact, this is... when Egypt has studied the Minister of Electricity and Energy
Yes.
and Renewable Energy together with support of the European Commission and the other partners. There were detailed studies about the capacities of the grid and and doing some sort of technical, putting some technical constraints, how the capacity, the grid is ready to absorb electricity, absorb renewable electricity, what would be the demand at the different years, how the demand would grow given the development needs, the industrial growth and so on, and what is the right mix of renewable technologies and thermal technology and nuclear all together that would give us the best value of money and the best quality of electricity. And putting all these elements together in detailed studies resulted that within the coming 15 years, up to 2035, Egypt can safely and in fact in the best economic way reach 42% of its electricity mix to be produced from renewable resources, mainly solar, wind, and also hydro and waste to energy. Yes. And this was calculated based on scientific models, and in fact there is also a room for improvement or having more share, provided that other conditions are on the ground. For example, expansion on the grids and so on. But at least we can reach securely and safely 42% within the coming, in fact, 14 years now. This is a very ambitious target, because the size of the Egyptian grid is, in fact, in many cases, I'll give you an example. In many cases, it's much bigger than other sites. So when we say 42% of the capacity, this means adding around 50,000 megawatts.
Yes.
This is a huge number. But if a country has a small grid, has a small power system that is only 1 or 2 gigas or 5 or 6 gigas, 6,000 megas, when they say 40 or 50%, they are speaking only about 3,000 megawatts.
Yes.
So comparing the size of the Egyptian grid, the Egyptian installed capacities, give us that we have, over the coming 15 years, more than 50,000 megawatts to be added to the grid. Today, where we are, today we have the overall installed capacities from all power plants, depending on natural gas or depending on renewables technologies and other mixes. We have only around 60 megawatts. So what you are targeting is the new capacities will be dominated by renewable technologies. This means that I'm giving a message to the entire world,
yes,
that I'm committed to protecting the environment. I'm committed to giving the Egyptian citizens a better quality of life, better quality of electricity, lower emissions, better health, better education, advancement in technologies. This is one, yes, side of the equation. The other message that we are saying that investors, you were attracted by a project like Bimban, which is only 1,500 megawatts.
Yes.
I'm offering you now around 15 Bimban, 15 mega projects that would come in the pipeline within the coming 15 years.
Yes.
Annually, we would have 1 or 2 Bimbans. Are you willing to invest in Egypt?
Yes, of
and
course. Yes,
of course.
of course.
So this is the message that you are getting to the international community. I'm committed to a sustainable future for the entire planet Earth.
Yes.
I'm committed to greening my industry, greening my economy. I'm committed also to attract investments and to move forward with, I would say, improving the quality of living for the Egyptians.
Yes, yes. So also, Dr. Karam, the Minister of Electricity and Renewable Energy, Engineer Mohammed Shakir, said that this, or increasing the renewable energy with 42% by the year 2035, would connect directly with the national electricity grid in Egypt without any new additions in the infrastructure.
Yes.
So could you explain this? Yes, could you explain this?
All of us know that, for example, during the last week we had a not very sunny weather. It was cold.
Yes.
And we can imagine that solar intensity is lower during these times.
Yes.
So the productivity of the solar systems would be lower compared to days in summer, for example. So this is a phenomena for renewable technologies, mainly solar and wind,
Yes.
that they are variable. Both technologies produce electricity. Yes, we can predict, but we know that there is not all the time we would have solar technology, solar energy or wind energy. So having said that, when we have this variability, yes, of the resource, we can expect a variability in the production of electricity. And you need a robust grid that would accommodate when the solar energy is low, that you would have other resources, yeah, other power plants working to produce electricity. So that they would cover the difference between the lower production of the renewables and the needs, the demand of the citizens. So what His Excellency the Minister Shakir is illustrating, yes, that we do not need now. We have a robust grid. We have a grid that is able to accommodate for these variable generations without needing to install new power plants conventional to cover this. We have enough surplus that would help us to use further renewable technologies without additional investments. Other countries do what in this? When they install solar or wind, they need to have a backup capacity, because whenever you don't have wind, then you would go with this backup capacity to cover the difference in demand, the load, the electricity that we are using. But in Egypt, we have this surplus because of the excellent program that was enacted since 2015 till now, that we have already, instead of having a shortage in electricity supplies and blackouts, now we have a surplus which is up to the international level, and this surplus allows us to go for variable technologies without any fear, without a risk of having electricity cuts, for example. So this is the concept, and having this strong grid is in fact also another success story that we are all witnessing right now.
Yes, yes. So, Doctor, also President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi recently encouraged the private sector, and especially the private sector had a role in the Bimban solar energy complex. What's your comment?
Yes. Worldwide, the concept that the state, the government, install projects and go into the market competing with service provider from private sector is phasing out. This is no longer the case worldwide.
Yes.
Now services, most of the services, in fact, water services, electricity services, telecommunication services, are all being privatized for a better quality, giving that the government plays the role of a regulator that secure, first of all, the quality of service, second, a fair and just relation between the consumer and the producer.
Yes.
So putting this together means that the future of electricity production, of telecommunication service and other services would rely on private sector engagement in these sectors.
Yes.
And the plan for Egypt for the future is relying that we are offering the private sector the opportunity to invest in Egypt in these sectors, provided that they secure to us a good quality electricity with the most competitive price.
Yes. I thank you very much. I really had the pleasure to host you today. Thank you for your valuable information. Dr. Maged Karam Eddin Mahmoud, Technical Director of the Regional Center for Renewable Energy. Thank you very much. I really had the honor to host you. Thank you. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Amal Mukhtar. Thank you for following me in this segment. I leave you with the rest of the segments of the breakfast show with my colleague Mahesti Rabia.